There's a road in Huntsville, Texas that people warn you about in whispers. They don't tell you where it is, not because they don't know, but because they're afraid you'll actually go. It's not the kind of road that shows up on a map with a red flag or a spooky name. No, it looks ordinary. A dirt path cutting through the woods. Quiet, still, forgotten. But if you drive down it at night, you'll feel it. A pressure in your chest. Like you've stepped into something old, something watching. Locals call it Demon's Road. They say it leads to a cemetery where the dead don't rest, where children with red eyes still play and laugh, where spirits don't just haunt, they follow. If you're lucky, the only thing you'll see is the red glow in the distance. If you're not, it sees you too. There are stories, too many to ignore, of people who drove that road and came back marked, handprints on their cars, voices in their homes, dreams that turn violent, and in every story, the same whisper returns. You looked at me. Tonight you're going to hear what happened to one man who thought it was just a legend. He walked down Demon's Road, and he brought something back. David hadn't planned on returning to Huntsville. He had built a life in Austin, bigger city, better distractions, and more distance from his childhood memories. But when his uncle passed away, he inherited the old house near Possum Walk Road. The house was creaky, dust-coated, and reeked of things long dead, but it was his now. During the funeral, whispers floated around the church about Demon's Road. At first he rolled his eyes. A haunted road? Really? But his cousin Michael's face went pale at the mention of it, and even the pastor avoided the subject. Curiosity got the better of him. On his second night back, as the sun dipped into a blood-orange sky, he turned his truck toward Bowden Road. The trees grew thicker. The air turned still. His phone lost signal. Just before the final bend, a crooked sign came into view. Martha, Chapel Cemetery, Esther, 1854. The world felt quiet, too quiet. As David stepped out, the gravel crunched beneath his boots like bones. He scanned the edge of the woods. There was a hum in the air, barely audible, like a distant chant hidden under the wind. But there was no wind. The stillness pressed on. Him like hands wrapping around his ribs. I don't believe in ghosts, he muttered. Then he opened the cemetery gate. The cemetery sat in unnatural silence. Old ironwork curled along the perimeter like rusted vines. Tombstones leaned at odd. Angles eroded by decades of storms and secrets. David switched on his flashlight. The beam flickered. He kept walking. 100 feet in, he paused. Something moved through the trees behind the graves. He raised his light. Nothing. But then, floating through the air, two soft, pulsing red lights. At first he assumed they were distant taillights, but they hovered several feet above ground and emitted no beam, no sound. They began drifting closer. "Hello?" he called. The lights stopped. Then a giggle rang out. It sounded like a child. David turned to run, but something brushed against his arm, cold and fast like a bird in flight, but no wings flapped. His flashlight died. He stumbled back toward the truck, heart pounding. As he fumbled with the keys, he saw movement in his rearview mirror, a pale figure just beyond the trees, unmoving, watching. Back at home, he reviewed the footage from his camera, all static, except for one frozen frame. In the corner of the image, near the gate, was the silhouette of a child with glowing red eyes. David's morning started with a scream. His own. On the hood of his truck, outlined in a thin layer of dust, were handprints, too long, too wide. The fingers extended further than they should have, with claw-like tips. He washed the car, scrubbed it clean. But the prints returned each morning, always in the same spot. That night, at exactly 3:06 a.m., David awoke to a faint whisper near his ear. "You looked at me." He sat upright, skin frozen. His bedroom was pitch black. Then he noticed the mirror across the room was fogged like steam after a hot shower, but he hadn't used the bathroom. He stood and walked toward it. 4 letters appeared slowly in the condensation. David. The whispers returned every night, louder, closer. "Come back," they said. "See me again." "Let me in." His dog growled constantly, refusing to enter the bedroom. The air smelled of wet soil and old metal. Every reflective surface in the house began to fog, even glass picture frames. David started sleeping with the lights on. It didn't help. David wasn't himself anymore. His neighbors noticed him wandering in the yard at night, mumbling in a language no one understood. He stopped answering texts. He forgot his own birthday. One day he found muddy footprints leading from the front door to his bedroom, though the doors had been locked. His cousin came over, saw the scratches on his arms, and insisted he see a doctor. David laughed hollowly and said, "It's not my body anymore." That night he dreamt of the red-eyed child. This time the child wasn't riding in circles. It stood at the foot of his bed, skin stretched tight over a skull-like face. No eyes, no lips, just teeth. It raised its hand, and David awoke screaming, bleeding from 3 jagged scratches down his back. He began filming himself while he slept. One recording showed him standing by the window for hours, whispering, "I saw the light. I saw the light. I saw the light." Then in the last few seconds, a whisper from behind the camera, "Now I see you." Determined to end it, David packed a camera, a Bible, and a jar of sage. At noon he drove back to Demon's Road. Broad daylight, birds chirping, but the second he turned onto Bowden Road, the sounds ceased. No wind, no birds. Just gravel under tires and a growing sense of dread. He entered the cemetery and placed a note on a weathered stone. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to see you." He lit the sage and walked through the rows, praying aloud. Then the lights returned. 2 glowing red orbs emerged from the trees. They hovered, pulsing like angry eyes. David turned only to find a figure on the path, tall, grey, faceless. It stepped forward. The sage blew out. His flashlight shattered in his hand. His ears rang. He ran to the truck. As he peeled away, the rearview mirror reflected a child's grinning face in the back seat. At home, he checked the footage. Behind him in every frame, a shape. It grew more solid with each step he took. By the final frame, it stood inches from his back. David's final message was uploaded 3 days later. A shaky video titled, "Don't go there, it follows you." He sat in a dark room, eyes sunken, voice trembling. "If you saw the red lights, it's too late. It wants to be seen. That's how it spreads." Halfway through the video, his tone changed. His pupils dilated. He whispered, "It's inside now. I gave it a name. Names are doors." Then the video glitched. In one frame, a second face flickered over his, mouth open in a silent scream. David disappeared that night. Police found his house abandoned, mirrors broken, and the word "mine" carved into every wall. Months passed. People forgot. Then a group of teenagers posted a ghost hunting video from Bowden Road. In the final seconds, their camera pans across the woods, and there, watching them from the shadows, is a man in a torn jacket, David's jacket. The screen cuts to black.